Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And if you are new here, my name is Psychic Bella Love. So nice to have you here. So we're taking a look at Justin and Hailey Bieber and their marriage and what's going on there, because there's been a lot of chatter. I've never really paid much attention to either of them until probably the past couple years, because when he broke out onto the scene, he was a teenager, and I was in such a different stage in my life, becoming a mom and being more focused on that. So I am not super familiar with all the ins and outs of their relationship leading up to this. There is a lot more layers to this, though, that I have discussed and covered over on my Patreon, because we have to be careful about the things that we talk about over here, unfortunately. So if you want any uncensored content and to know about the Illuminati and the darker aspects to this situation, and like I said, the uncensored parts of things that we can't talk about over here, as well as all my other content, we do weekly lives. I post daily. Even if I'm not over here on YouTube, I'm always in Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/psychicbellalove and join us for as little as $3 a month, where you'll have access to all of that. We also now have email readings available on the website, so you can use code MOVE, M-O-V-E, for 50% off any appointments over on psychicbellalove.com, or click the link in the description box. You will help me move, because I'm trying to move out of my mold-ridden apartment. That's why I've been sick for the last 5 years. So anyways, getting into this. So the first thing that was coming up when I was searching for pictures of them and getting into the energy of these two people was that I don't get, because I know everybody likes to say, like, he hates Hailey, right? I don't get there being hatred and dislike for her, but I think that there is resentment. And Spirit is saying that, in a way, does he feel like maybe this was an arranged marriage? Yes. Was it? Yes. But this is one of those things where it's like, if I explain all this, it's going to take forever anyways, but also because it does tie into everything else that goes on in Hollywood. If you believe that anybody in Hollywood is allowed to marry or date whoever that they want, I have a bridge in Idaho to sell you. Because, part of the selling your soul to be who you are and to get famous contract is that you also don't have any control over who you date. So in a sense, when they talk about PR relationships, it's like every relationship in Hollywood is a PR relationship to some extent or another. Most of the time, somebody in that relationship is the other person's handler. And so, yes, Hailey is Justin's handler. Before that, it was Selena, though. Don't shoot me for telling the truth. So Spirit is talking about, there not being as much choice as what he wanted in order to be in this relationship in the first place. And on the flip side of it, Hailey is also being controlled. So, they have people above them that are telling them what to do, and somebody that's guiding her on how to handle and control him. And like, the thing that keeps coming up when I tap into his energy, beyond being extremely sad, excuse me, is that he wants freedom. And it's like Spirit saying he spent so much time thinking about what would his life have been like if he never was who he was. Like, what if I didn't have the talent that I had and I could have just stayed in Canada and worked at a corporate job and been a normal Joe Schmo? Like, would I have been happier? Is all of this worth it? And realizing that he's trapped in this life and there's no getting out of it for him. And so there's a lot of rebellion that comes, and then that resentment also that rises up for him, because while, yes, it is frustrating to him that Hailey is in control of him, because trust me, he knows that she's his handler. At the same time, Spirit saying she sort of sometimes takes the brunt of the blame for everything that he feels like has gone wrong in his life, because she's the closest person to him and she's the one that's in his face on a daily basis. So sometimes maybe a bit of it is unfair, but when somebody is stuck in a place of trauma and feeling trapped, they're not always looking at everything in the same ways that we on the outside would be able to see, right? I get there being so much, like, again, that rebellion and sabotage is coming up, where it's just like he kind of has Kanye moments. Kanye does the same thing where they get really upset about, I can't believe this is my life and this is what I'm trapped in and this is what I have to do, and I'm never going to be able to just fully do things the way that I want. And there's always going to be people using me in one way or another. And so it's like, let me use substances to escape from it. Let me act out. Let me do things that, because it's almost like, oh, if I get canceled hard enough, will they let me go then? But it's not realizing that, fully wanting to accept that that's not how things work. So if there's a big battle on the other side of things for his money. I know that I have read recently or heard recently that allegedly he's kind of always had money problems, where he has a tendency to spend a lot of money and kind of go wild with it and stuff. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I can't get a loan, or I can't get credit for certain things because I, bought a Lamborghini and never made a payment on it until it was about to get repoed, and then I paid it all off in cash, but it like destroyed my credit in the meantime. We're going to hear rumblings of there being money problems. I don't think that he's completely broke. I actually get that he has more money than he's aware of, but somebody else has control of it and has been sort of hiding some of it from him and telling him that there is less in the accounts than there is. And it's not because they're doing it in a good way. It's, it's kind of screams embezzlement. We know there are certain people that were involved in the Britney conservatorship that have been circling around this situation. So would not put it past them to be involved in that. But Spirit is saying, there is this sort of battle for it, because it's like somebody wants him to make more money than he's going to be able to. Is there talks of putting him in a conservatorship or wanting to? Yes. However, between Britney and Wendy and Bam Margera and some of the other more profile higher profile people that are in conservatorships and guardianships that we've been talking about and hearing about lately. Spirit is saying the people that would typically be put under one, like him or Kanye, there's way too much attention on this kind of stuff right now where it's like they can't necessarily get away with that. But would somebody, while maybe somebody's had a crazy partying night, be like, hey, sign this contract, and then it gives them financial control over somebody and they don't realize it, or gives them a way to funnel funds away, or, have some other business control? Yes, Spirit saying there's a lot of shady deals that have been made in that sense. And, in a few years, we'll start seeing people coming out and complaining about that. And that'll be the new Hollywood scandal that everybody's hearing about. Like, oh my God, did you know how many people, like, popped a pill and then signed a contract and had no idea what the hell they were signing? They thought they were signing up for life insurance, or that it was for their car registration or something else, and then they realized that they gave 99% of their royalties to somebody or something like that later, and now they're trying to fight it. Like, there's going to be some big things like that coming up, and I think that we'll be talking about that in the sense of Justin. I keep getting that there's going to be some sort of a major cheating scandal also that's going to come up, because Justin wants freedom, like I said, and he's in sabotage mode, and he, like I said, is sort of blaming it on Hailey. And so he's looking at it like, if I fuck this marriage up in a way that she has to divorce me, or they have to let us get a divorce, they meaning, the people that control them, then I can be free from this. But he doesn't realize that that's not going to solve his problems. It's just this desperation of trying to see, like, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And then just finding something to hyperfixate on and blame it on. So I feel like, he'll purposely get caught doing something in order to try to, get his way out of that. I do see Hailey having to let him go, and I see her being very upset about it because, like I said, she's just as controlled as him. And she feels very scared, like, this is my job and I have to, like, hold on to him at all costs. Because Spirit's saying, like, if the tables were turned and she was just allowed to date somebody, like, she would have left somebody that was acting like this. Like, as much as we can say, oh, she's desperate, again, like I said, I don't think she had any choice anyways. And she doesn't see or feel like, oh, like, I would just be willing to put up with anything and everything from somebody, but it's like, I don't have a choice in that. So I feel her being more scared, like, oh my God, I always have to hold on to this. I always have to try to make it work because I'm going to be in some sort of trouble, or I'm going to have opportunities or other things taken away from me if I don't try to hold on to this marriage at all costs. However, I do think it's going to come down to it where they're going to say, okay, that's fine. Like, you guys, time to break up. And when they do, she's going to milk it for all she can. Not in a sense of, I'm going to come out and tell a bunch of stories and do all these interviews and this and that. I mean, I feel like maybe one magazine interview and it'll be like a Vogue or something, one of those types of magazines. And it's just her trying to say things that are very PR like sometimes when somebody is just going through a lot, there's only so much you can do. And I really care about this person, and it breaks my heart to see them in this space, but I don't want to, bash them, or I let it go with love, one of those word salad explanations. But she's definitely going to be hoping that all of the attention that she gets from it puts her in a space where she's able to make money off of her businesses and make money off of her, create new opportunities, be with somebody else. Justin's really going to go rogue partying once that happens. But I also see there being a bit of a turnaround for a while with him. And then, shit. Let's pray that it just ends up with him going to prison or jail for a while, or rehab, and not the darker parts that I keep picking up could happen with him. That we all wake up one day and get some news that he's no longer here, because he is on a major downward spiral right now. Does any of this have to do with Selena Gomez getting engaged? Absolutely fucking not. He was already on a spiral downwards before her and Benny Blanco were all up in our faces anyways. Spirit saying that he wasn't, like, I don't feel him being like in love with her still. And I think I've done a reading on that before, where it was like Spirit was just like, they don't really want each other like that anymore. It's just, for Selena's part, she knows how to sort of take advantage of that, because it's helped her with her career and her money-making opportunities, and her, continuing to get all of this, oh my God, Selena's a victim and everybody needs to support her kind of narrative going. And for him, I get that there's, maybe nostalgia and sadness there, because he sees her as the representative of the last time that things were sort of okay for me in this industry. But then he also sees like his involvement with her as the beginning of his downfall as well. So he has really mixed feelings over this. Like, there's a trauma bond there. But if he's more upset with anybody, honestly, Spirit saying it's Benny Blanco. Because he feels like, oh, Benny was in his ear being like, yeah, screw Selena, she sucks. You look at how hot your wife is. Like, you ended up with the better girl. And then he went and backdoored him and went and started dating her. And so he feels like he was betrayed by a friend. And I get that he sort of, feels like, oh, you're probably over there pillow talking her and telling her everything that we ever talked about, or everything I ever said, or, giving her some sort of inside info about me. So it's like, you broke bro code. And that's what I'm more upset about. But, it's like, I honestly get like he just wishes her the best in life. And like, I do feel like he feels guilty. Like, I put you through a lot of shit, and I probably introduced you to certain things or encouraged you to do certain things that you wouldn't have done if I hadn't have been in your life. And he worries sometimes, like, did I contribute to some of your health problems or some of your other issues with that, because he still has a conscience. But again, Spirit saying there's not like this overwhelming desire, like, I need her back and I'm still in love with her and this and that. And also Spirit is saying like their relationship was so up and down and back and forth, and it was like they didn't even manage to stay together for like a solid year at a time. It'd be one thing if it was like we dated for 2 years and then we break up for a while and then we get back together for another year. But Spirit's saying it's like we're together for 2 weeks, we break up for 3 months, we get back together for a month, and then we're like not talking to each other for 6 months. And in that time, they're both dating other people, and he especially was. And it's like, I don't feel like she was ever, especially after the first time that they dated, Spirit saying she was never the only girl that he was ever dealing with in those times either. So again, it was more of a trauma bond, because fame is traumatic. And that first real, public relationship where everybody's attention was on them, it was like they were each other's refuge from all of that at times. And it was like, you're the only other person who understands this and understands me. But they're not each other's soulmates that are supposed to be together forever when it comes down to it. And listen, if anybody ever tells you that a soulmate is somebody that you got to go through all kinds of fucking ups and downs with, they have no concept of what soulmates are. Soulmates are your reward for healing. It's an easy relationship. It is not trauma and cheating and chasing after each other and breaking up and then getting back together again 25 years later, or any of the crazy crap that I see people saying all the time. That is a karmic relationship that is pushing you to realize your wounds and what you need to heal from and the bad habits that you need to overcome. And twin flames are not even a real thing. Like, I cannot believe that like everybody has seen all of the documentaries about how it's a cult and it was fake and still continue to use that term. But your soul has only ever belonged to you. It is never split into multiple bodies and walking around on the earth like that, and that you're supposed to torture each other. Like, no. I mean, again, go look up what real karmic people are and then ask yourself, does this not exactly sound like a fucking twin flame description? So, sorry, rant over. I just can't stand when people push toxic ideologies as some bullshit spiritual concept that does not exist and isn't real, because there is no encouragement from our spirit guides and our ancestors and our spirits who support and love us on the other side, that they want us to go, go through a bunch of toxic crap and put ourselves through all this hell. So, anyways, moving on from that, but Spirit saying, we'll see them separate and get a divorce. I feel like it's probably going to be more towards the end of the year, possibly into 2026. The reason why he went on this spiral, he was always battling it anyways. Okay. Did certain things bring it up and trigger it? Like, did he go into jail? Of course. I mean, I said this a million times in my Patreon. Like, I cannot imagine how horrible and awful that must be to have the whole entire world dissecting if you were abused and how that was done to you, and talking about it, and then almost demanding that you need to come out and tell everybody if you were or you weren't. Like, that's such a personal thing for somebody to go through. And it's up to them to share that when they feel comfortable. And some people are never going to share that because they just never going to feel comfortable doing it. And that's their right. So Spirit is saying that's what really triggered all of this. But it was just convenient timing to make it seem like, oh yeah, like, because Selena got engaged. And it's like, but if you even go back and look, like, he was already like in this space on and off for the past how many years? Even before her and Benny got together, like, he's been battling mental health, okay? Sorry, I'm just straight up channeling from Spirit, so I'm trying to figure out what they're showing me. he does have a lot of new music that we'll be getting from him too. The problem is I just see it kind of being like not doing the best. It's like there's a couple songs that do good, but then overall, like I don't feel people really vibing with the whole album. And but this is the thing too that, you know, I think that we're just in this overall decline when it comes to the music industry anyways. People are not looking to listen to sad music right now. You know, recession pop is coming back, as they call it. People are not buying albums because it's like, yeah, like I might like you, but for the $14 or however much it is for the whole album, that pays for a month of Spotify. And then I can listen to everybody's songs. So it's just like we're going to see it being more heavily reliant on streams, which definitely pays far less than buying the whole album. And so I think everybody's album sales are going to take a shit, and we're just going to start seeing it being really like, you know, dominated by streaming over the next year. But, and again, because we're in a recession too, so people cut out things that, or don't spend money on things that maybe they might have in the past. I think that's going to take a bit of a toll on him because that's like his one thing that he feels like is a healthy escape for him. So that's why I just kind of keep getting like the next 2 to 3 years are going to be very hard for Justin. So let's all pray for him because, you know, he didn't have a choice. He grew up in this shit. He was sold off to the industry. He was groomed for it and sold off to the industry at a very young age. So I do have more sympathy for child stars than I do for somebody who's 30 years old and signed up for this crap. But he's definitely in a dark space and he's going to need a lot of help to get out of it. So anyways, guys, I am going to go ahead and let you go. If you wanted to book your own personal private reading, or join us on Patreon. The information will be linked in the description box below. Make sure you like the video and leave a comment. And I will see y'all later. Bye.